entrepreneurs of the world, come join us at cooperativeglobal.com and become a member of the first crowdfund specifically designed to stop the common causes of poverty hurting Black families around the world today. After all, their health and well-being is our responsibility.
More Threads, a brand owned by a former teacher and Black American freedmen, use their apparel and more to teach hidden truths and Black American history. More Threads will address the lack of knowledge and negative images in our community. Check out www.morethreads.com to purchase our apparel, read thought-provoking blogs, and more.
Make sure you pick up my 2 books that's in Amazon right now. The first one is Passive-Aggressive Racism and the System of White Supremacy. And I talk about in that particular book how the system of white supremacy really runs and on our daily lives here in America. In our latest book, 7 Steps to Decolonize the Mind, we go through those steps to try to deprogram you from the system of white supremacy. Make sure you can pick up those books on Amazon.com. Hey family, make sure you join us on the new and improved AfricanDiasporaNews.org. Now, it is our uncensored and raw truth website. We have to make sure to have our own website because on social media platforms, they do have rules, and at any time they could change a rule and shut a whole genre down. Now, that would not happen to us because on AfricanDiasporaNews.org, we can speak the truth. We don't have to hold back. So make sure you join our website today. Cecil Global and African Diaspora News Channel presents the Ghana Luxury Property Tour. It will be a 8-day tour coming to you starting October 1 through October 8, 2023. Now, you enjoy a 5-star stay at a hotel, the finest properties in Ghana. You connect with industry professionals. You will also visit cultural landmarks, have a meet and greet with the team, and so much more. Make sure that you go to the description box below and hit that link to sign up. All right, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, we are back to our weekly live streams. We took a little break from the live streams because I was in South Africa for about a good 10 days. It was my first time taking at least the family to South Africa. Remember last year we went with the real South Africa, and shout out to Mark and Dr. Latasha Blanton. When I wanted to go to South Africa, I made sure to contact them. I said, listen, my family's first time to South Africa. Could you put some things together for us? They put it together for us. Definitely to, my liking and standard, because I do have a liking and standard. And everything worked out very good. All the footage, because I actually filmed while I was there. I didn't bring like my team. It was mostly just a family thing, but I still brought my own camera. And I filmed. Those of you who subscribe to my Lumates Exodus channel, you've seen the first episode of what I filmed. It will be several episodes, actually. Already edited. Number 2 is already edited. I just got to get a thumbnail for it. And I think it will be like maybe 6 or 7 different episodes out of South Africa. Some things that I didn't get to see the first time, I got to see this time. Some real cool things that we got to film. So, shout out to the brothers and sisters in South Africa. Also, while I was there, I showed y'all on the channel. Actually, I showed it to the channel members first. That neighborhood I went to, which is that film itself, that was just in the neighborhood. I actually got to see 3 different homes, actually, with a realtor there. And these homes, I was like, okay, I'm sold. I'm sold. Y'all don't listen, when you start telling me, oh, this is 6,000 square feet. What? This is 7,000 square feet. And I'm like, for what price are you talking about here? Now, these prices are going anywhere from like 524,000 up to maybe 550 some odd thousand US dollars. Okay. Now we both know that when you will see the size of the homes when I put that episode up, it is no way that I would get a 6,000 to 7,000 square foot home in the US for 500,000. That wouldn't happen. That'll be well over 1 million, even right here in Texas. Now in California, we already know what that'll be. In New York, you already know. But for me, and then it being 95% off of the grid, and so, South Africa right now dealing with load shedding. So they're not dealing with the problem at all. Now, I also stayed at a villa that I had rented in Cape Town. Very, very nice. I actually rented through Marriott Homes and Villas, actually. And even that home had a situation when load shedding, because the way it works is like every day, for the most part, every day minus I think 1 day or 2 days, they have an app. The power company is called Escom. That's the name of the power company. So every day they cut their lights off for so many hours because they say they're having an energy crisis right now in South Africa. So what they're doing, they have different stages like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, etc. The higher the stage, according to what I saw on the app, the more they will cut your light off. So imagine this. You get a text message from the light company, whatever light company you have in the U.S., and they say, hey, we're shutting the lights off from 1 o'clock to 3 o'clock. So at 1 o'clock, boom, your lights are going off. You already know what's going off at 3 o'clock, right? 1 to 3. Well, what if a day happens and they're going to shut it off multiple times? Say, hey, and the app is telling you, well, from 8 to 10, we're shutting it off. And then we're going to shut it off again for about 1 to 3. And we may shut it off again, maybe about 6 to 7. Eventually, you will get tired of that, okay? Give me 1 quick second, ladies and gentlemen. Do a favor for my wife. And, a lady kind of came at the time that I'm doing this. But let's get back to what we was talking about here. Shout out to Jay-Z Farmer since I've been gone. So imagine, as I said before, they cut your lights off 3 times in a day. Eventually, you get tired of that. That will get old real quick. Now, let's call it what it is, how we are in America. If they cut our lights off for an hour, we pissed off. So imagine that's happening every day. So while I was in South Africa, on the 20th of March, the EFF had a national shutdown protest where people were protesting and everything. It was happening mostly in Johannesburg, what I saw. I was in Cape Town at the time. And, the brothers and sisters out there kind of turned it up. Hey, I support the brothers and sisters in any fight they have to make things better. One thing that I will not do is go to no African country and put my nose in any business that I don't fully engage in. I stay in my lane because I respect y'all to stay in my lane. If I'm not going to support something, my mouth's going to say shut. Unfortunately, we aren't given that same respect in some regards when some people come here. But I also understand that the U.S. government does not allow people to come here who have a revolutionary mindset, a person who has a very awakened mindset. Y'all have to understand the U.S. government denies people visa all the time. I was told that when people come try to go to the U.S. embassy to get a visa, they pay money, and if they deny them the visa, guess what they do, y'all? They keep their money. They don't give them back their money. And they constantly do this. So could you imagine every time you apply to something, they take your money and they deny you and they don't give you the money back? They don't give you a credit. Like you say, okay, we'll try again. They don't even give them a credit. They are taking those brothers and sisters' money every single time at the U.S. Embassy, and they are approving certain black people to come in. So when you talk about some of the problems that we have with some, not all, some brothers and sisters that's coming over from different countries, understand they are approved by the U.S. Embassy to come over here. They are not going to approve Julius Malema and anybody that think like him to come over here in whatever country, whether in the Caribbean. Now, some of them may slip in here and there, but that's not who they want to approve. They want to approve, just like in America, with Black America. Who they want to promote? the bootlicking, raccoon, shucking and jiving black person. They want them in politics. They want them in leadership. That's who they want. So that is the kind of black person they want, no matter where they come from, whether they from America or not. So when they coming into America, actually those black people actually follow more of the immigration law than any other group. Because they actually go to the embassy, try to get a visa, and come over the right way, versus others south of the border. They feel that they can just bum rush America and get in because they feel like they entitled to get in here. Okay? You would think the people that's following the law will get more preferential treatment, but no, the people that's actually bum rushing is getting more preferential treatment. So I can understand the brothers and sisters being pretty upset with that. And some other things are going on in the country, what I was paying attention to, what I was hearing. Shout out to my brothers and sisters out there in South Africa. That's for sure. I always love when I go out there. Any African country I've been to, it's definitely been nothing but love, respect. You know, I was in the malls, and let me tell y'all, people are seeing this, and I don't announce my movements anywhere. But when I was in like Santon City, Mall of Africa, places like that, brothers and sisters was saying, hey, Phil, hold on, you out here like that? You know, it's coming up to me, you know what I'm saying? And it's been nothing but positivity. It was nothing but love from everybody, from the brothers and sisters. When I was at the hotel, I met one brother from Tanzania that watched the show. I met brothers and sister from Kansas City. Shout out to y'all watching the show. From Kansas City. Had the wife, children there. When I was in Soweto, another brother and sister family I met out there. Met another sister at Vilakazi Street, 1947 Vilakazi Street, that restaurant that's in Soweto. That sister say she left America after Trayvon Martin, say America was too toxic for her. She had to go. She's an artist. She's doing very well out there in South Africa. I'm meeting a whole lot of black people, I'm talking about from America, that's actually going, and they tell me the same story. America was too toxic for me. I can't deal with it. I'm at peace now. I don't have to deal with it. But one thing this one sister said to me, and the one that actually left after Trayvon Martin, she said, one of the reasons about America, what I don't like, she said, America forces you to be involved in its politics. And I heard her say that, and I chewed on that for a minute. Because it don't matter who you are, what your stance is, it do kind of force you to be involved in this politics. Whether it's the Democrat-Republican thing, racial politics, financial, I mean, whatever the case may be, it forces, and one thing I noticed about America, and the reason why America is descending, there's scripture in the Bible that teach a kingdom divided will not stand. America uses everything to divide everybody, not just black people, but to divide everybody. And the way America works is melting pot. Yeah, it can work, but it could tear America apart, because what America does is they weaponize everybody against each other, and definitely everybody's weaponized against the black man and black woman of America. That's for sure. Weaponization all the way around. So everybody is against each other, and the whole time I'm sitting here watching from South Africa, all these other moves that's happening throughout the world. When I tell y'all, you really need to start thinking a little bit about your future, and a future that expands outside of this place. Other countries are really tired of the politics of the West and what the West has done. Other countries, this Ukraine thing, you know what other countries have said about that? That's a white war. We don't care about that. That's not our business, not our problems. They don't care about us, so why should we care about that? That's their problem. They Europeans deal with that. That's not a response the Western world likes. They don't like that kind of response. Do you know China has gotten Saudi Arabia and Iran together? Do you know that's happened? There's an organization they have called BRICS, and it's Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa. It's called BRICS. They have an alliance. Well, do you know other nations now are making application to get into BRICS? They don't want to, because see, one thing NATO did, NATO is just being what they are, white supremacists. Nobody can be in NATO but white people. Well, BRICS is inclusive. You have Chinese, you have, well, white people, Russia, white people, you got Indian people, you got Brazilians, you got black South African, in it, right? And now you have Mexico that's trying to get into BRICS. This is why all the rhetoric is ramping up all of a sudden about the cartels. Them cartels been doing things like horrible things right down that border. But the moment that Mexico say, well, you know what, we want to get in BRICS. Oh, they'll go to war with them before that happens. You know what I'm saying? And you better understand something about the Western powers. They we're going to start a war before they let China upheave everything. Only thing I'm telling you is people all over the world are getting sick and tired of them. They're getting sick and tired of the dominance of the U.S. dollar. That's another thing. Other countries are starting to dump the dollar more and more every day. When the dollar has been the reserve currency throughout the world since after World War II. Y'all got to get out of this just focusing on the shores of America and understand you live in a global society. You live in a huge world. And it's not just this 300 some odd million people that's in it that's affected by it. You have billions of people that's affected by it. And what happens on the other side of the world, all these different things, is going to eventually affect you. And one thing that I'm glad is happening, at least in our community in America, we have waken up to say we don't accept the lies anymore. See, one thing that I have seen what happened with us in America, we have in large numbers have dropped their white Jesus. Black people following white Jesus has kept us real docile for a long time. We didn't do much of nothing because of that reason. They always throw that scripture where, hey, the Bible says to obey your slave, obey your masters, and black people, oh yeah, let me obey my masters and let me turn the other cheek. And now you have a generation of people that have thrown away that church. Not to say they've thrown away God, because I believe in God wholeheartedly. I pray, I do. But I refuse to go to any of their churches. Refuse. Because I know their churches are corrupted. They don't follow the scriptures. They don't believe thus saith the Lord in no way, shape, or form or fashion. They don't. So why would I go and enter into any of these churches in America? There's no reason. Because of that, a lot of you have awakened to a lot of the lies, a lot of the falsehoods. And see, they need you deceived. They need you confused. They need that to things keep going, and you're not doing that. See, so now you're not willing to build up America for them no more, other than you making money for them through the entertainment industry and different service, jobs you're doing, etc. A lot of black people not willing to go die for them no more either. Because it's like this. I was driving to the store this morning after I got out of the gym, and I had to really get back in the gym in South Africa. Lord Jesus, that food y'all have in South Africa, it put me some weight on me. Now I'm dropping it back off, but Lord. Anyway, so I thought about it. So you know what? We as black Americans built a beautiful country. We really did. A beautiful, prosperous country through with our hands and our innovation. Because it's not even just the building of it, it's the innovation of America that black Americans have done. Everything you could put your hands on, black America had its hand on it. From infrastructure to healthcare to just things that you use every day, food, you name it. Black America has had their hands on it. And how did they... all these people had to do, brothers and sisters, is just be a good steward of what we created. They have destroyed every single thing that you could, and me, as a collective of people and the ancestral lineage that we have, they have destroyed it. They have destroyed the plants. They have destroyed the air. They have destroyed the water. They taint everything they touch. They don't know how to be peaceful nowhere they go. Nowhere they go, they know how to be peaceful. It's always some backbiting, some deception, divide and conquer, harming people, doing this to this one, that one, behind a skin color. They are the most primitive thinkers ever, because you have to be a primitive idiot to focus on a skin color. A skin color. I'm better than you because my skin looks different than you. You're a primitive idiot. And unfortunately, we have bought into that mess. That's why I love being an African continent, because that's something I don't even think about. That primitive idiot mess that they got going on. So a lot of y'all tell me when I make certain comments, you know why I make the comments I make? Because I'm tired of watching my people suffer. I know that there will never be peace for us in Babylon. Never. It don't matter if they pay reparations tomorrow. They can give them $5 million each black person in San Francisco tomorrow, Monday. Deposit it. Those black people in San Francisco would not have a moment's peace, even if they get it. You talking about reparations, $17 trillion. Fine. You get it. You will still never have peace in this land with these white supremacists, because they don't know how to be peaceful with you or anybody else for that matter, even though anybody be peaceful with themselves. Look at Ukraine, Russia. There you go. That's their community. That's been going on way before we even came along. Them fighting each other constantly. You will never have peace. It won't happen. I've accepted that. Maybe you can get a little corner somewhere and maybe get a little here and there, but you will never have true peace. No country is perfect. No place is perfect. So don't even start that. But you cannot tell me, when you sit down and really have a thought process and data, a thought process on everything, how we are the worst off in this country. We are the worst off. I don't care about other groups and what they do. I'm talking about what we do. We are the worst off. Women in our community can't even have babies in America without worrying about losing their life. Because of why? Racism. That the things that women should not be worrying about in our communities when they're having their baby is worrying about being treated bad or being dismissed when they have pain, etc. Our men should not be worrying about when they drive down the doggone street, having to look over their shoulder and they see a constable or some sheriff or whoever, and your blood pressure then raised up just because you saw him. You're not even a criminal. You know you don't have no warrants. You don't have nothing. You don't commit no crimes. You go to work, you pay your taxes, you pay your bills, you do whatever. Some of you may go to church or whatever, mosque, wherever you're going, or you don't go, whatever, and you still, when you pass by the police, your blood pressure raised. Even me. When I see him, I'm like, oh, shoot. I'm looking at my speed, making sure I know my insurance is good. I know my stickers is good. But as a black man and woman in America, you don't have to be a criminal to have the race soldiers take your life. When I was in Ethiopia, didn't have that worry. When I was in Kenya, never had that worry. South Africa, never had that worry. I ain't talking to the police over there. They talking to me, asking me questions like, say, oh man, it's great to see you here and all. Feeling at peace. The problem is, some of you don't even know how that feels. Trust me, I didn't know how it felt either. I didn't know either. I didn't know until I went in 2018. And then I'm like, man, why didn't I know about this sooner? I got upset because I didn't know about that sooner. Now, you could argue with me, you could toil with me, and that's fine. Do that. You could try to insult me, cool. But everything I'm telling you is right. You know I'm right, you know I'm right, you know I'm right. How much more blood that's going to be spilled in the soil of America? And yet we are not advancing at all. Look all the great freedom fighters we had in our community. Pick them. You could pick any of them. All that fighting, all the deaths, all the hanging from trees, all the bombings, all the different things that we went through and still going through to this day. Are we at a place where we have true peace and tranquility? Actually, we are reverting backwards as a community. We're reverting backwards, not forwards, backwards. And the few people that's trying, they are attacked. No matter what their ideology is, they're attacked. Because some of you feel that this is normal. And it's not normal. Got comments saying, oh, well, because you lucky. No, I'm not lucky for anything. I make a plan. I execute the plan. It has nothing to do with no luck. Same thing when I thought about getting out of the petrochemical industry. I said, I'm not going to do this all my life. I got to get out of here because this is not a life for me. It's to work in this industry until I get old. No. So I made a plan and I executed my plan, and now my plan came to fruition. When I look at what's going on here, while we have an advantage now as Black Americans, while the dollar is still good in other countries right now, we can go look at it ourselves, see what we would like to do. I say just visit, see what you like to do, and then go back several times and see if that's for you, and then at least get something going. Something. I don't care if it's in the Caribbean, some Black nation. I had a sister ask a question in the comments, and we're going to get to Uganda, but I got to touch on this. The sister said, is there any country can we go to that we'll have peace outside of Black countries? That's what she said. Because the one sister that made the video won't get covered by going to Italy and all the racism she endured in Italy. I'm not going to people's country dealing with no racism. I'm not paying all that money to fly way over somewhere else to deal with racism. I can stay my behind right in America if I want to deal with racism. At least I got rights here. At least I got some backup here. But over going way to Italy, no, I never had a desire to, personally. I want to go see every Black nation that's on the planet Earth. I'm not saying we ain't got our brothers and sisters in Italy. And yes, I know about the Moors and all of that. I get it. I know. But let me see all the Black nations first. Let me see that. But the sister had asked that question. Once again, we will not have peace unless we are in our own lands. Now, this the other part of it. When I went to South Africa, again, Johannesburg, I'm on a flight going to Johannesburg. They got a direct flight, if you want to know. Delta has a direct flight from Atlanta to Johannesburg. They also got a direct flight from Atlanta to Lagos, Nigeria, too, if you want to know that. They have a direct flight, and on that direct flight, there were some brothers and sisters that was on there from America, but you know who a lot of was on there? Them folks. So as I got off the plane in Johannesburg, I had to, wait with my wife and children and everything, my little grandson. And I was watching everybody get off the plane. In every country I've went to, it's always been like that. Them folks are going, constantly going. But we have our people arguing with each other about even just taking a trip. I say, look, take a trip, take a week, take a vacation, go see it yourself. Like I tell people, see it yourself. Now, you could tell me, I had one brother say, well, I'm going to do this here and I'm going to do that and I feel my plate. Okay, if it's your calling, because it could be, if it's your calling to toil in this land with these people to the day you die, then that may be your lot in life, and maybe I just can't understand it. That's all. I just can't understand it. But for me, I'm not going to be arguing with these people to the day I die when I know who these people are. I know how they get down. I know how they feel about me. I know how they feel about my people. Anything they can do, they're going to do it, and that's just what it is. Black people that's in positions, they constantly hurt us. That's the kind of people they want in position. Look at that preacher, Reverend Amos out there in San Francisco. Why would you be against $5 million? But see, that's the kind of black people we got in America. We do have white people's black people, and there are plenty of them. When I get out of America, I don't have to deal with them. Not them. I can deal with other problems, but not them. We have no code of conduct. We don't have no community consequences for things like that. All other groups in America, when it's time to cut checks, everybody shut their mouth and got their hands out ready for money. Not this community in America. No, everybody got something to say against it. Well, wait a minute, sir, ma'am, the money's going to come to your hands. What are you against? What are you against? And you against it? That's why a lot of times people just look at us like we silly, because no other group does that. You didn't have Japanese when they was going to get money from the internment camps. You didn't hear no Japanese come out. Well, I don't think we should be getting that. I don't think we should. You know what? That's not enough. It's more than what you have right now in your bank account. Did they say anything? No. They had their hands out. Let me tell you something. It's never going to be enough. All the things they've done to us, they can never quantify a dollar amount because they don't have it. How you put a dollar amount of all the land that was stolen from us? That 17 trillion number, that's not enough. All the deaths, all the stolen inventions that caused us to lose trillions of dollars of wealth. There will never be a proper dollar amount that they could come up with. So y'all need to just get up off of that. It's not enough. It'll never be enough. But you know what? About the $5 million thing. Let's talk about that. $5 million would definitely change the life of any black person. We're just talking about that in particular. You mean to tell me $5 million wouldn't change your life, even in high dollar California? You mean to tell me $5 million wouldn't change your life? When you don't have anything? That's a freaking lie. See, people like Reverend Amos, man, I wish I could say what I want to say on this platform, but I can't. I got to be careful. People like that, he already getting paid by them folks because he attached to the NAACP. The NAACP been attached to them folks from the beginning, and they fund it. But hey, you should have known the NAACP was on some BS when you watch what happened with Gabrielle Union and her clan. That's what we doing now? I thought the organization was talking about fighting against racism, white supremacy with black people, and this is what we doing. Promoting non-productive relationships. They don't create more black people or more black children. Now, I'll say this, and I'm going to say this again. My message is not going to be for everybody. I understand that. But those who get upset with me the most, you never tell me I'm lying. That's one. You never bring any kind of data that say we're doing a whole lot better here than anywhere else. You say, we make more money. No. Certain people make good money in America. That's not the average person. Let's really get there. The average person in America is struggling, so let's call it what it is. We ain't talking about race on that point. But when you get to black people, think about it. I thought about this in the car today. Most places tell you 3 times the rent now for everybody, but black people in particular. 3 times the rent. Okay. You fighting to uphold this stuff here. Fine. No problem. Let's just throw a scenario. You make $3,000 a month. You went to get a place to stay, and the place is $1,500 a month. Now you say, you know what? $1,500 in this spot is a nice area. It's not no crime. It's good schools for my children in this area, $1,500. I want to be there. You can afford to pay that. And $1,500 left to pay whatever else you're going to pay. I'm just throwing that small number out. But when you go, even though you can pay the rent, you can pay it. You make $3,000 a month. You make a little extra money on the side too, but definitely the $3,000. They tell you, well, sir, you need to make 3 times the rent. So you can afford to pay $1,500, but you need to be making $4,500 a month to rent the place. But yet you can afford to pay it. Now you're denied a place to stay because you don't make $4,500 a month for a place that's $1,500. Versus, when some used to argue with me when I talked about this, if you go to South Africa, that $3,000 that you're making, you would be living very good over there. Very, very good. And a very nice apartment or home, wherever you want to rent or buy. You'll be living like a king or a queen. But yeah, you argue with me about you can't even get in a rent place because you don't make enough 3 times the rent. And that, like I say, that's horrible. Because when I was growing up, it used to be deposit, first month rent, you can move in. They just wanted to make sure you had a job enough to pay the rent, not 3 times the rent. How many of us got to be homeless? All these homeless people running around. When I was in Johannesburg, I didn't see the homeless population like that, like I see here in Houston. I'm not saying they don't have homeless people there, but I'm saying it's so easy to see in Houston than it was for me to see it there. Yeah, brothers and sisters are struggling over there. Sure they are. But while we in a position where $1 is good, we should prepare ourselves and take our talents elsewhere, at least get a place there. You can go back and forth. Listen, I understand going back and forth. I understand America is home. I get it. Trust me, it's home. But at the same time, you talking about a lot of you believe in the Bible. How many times that God's people have left home to go to other lands that they wasn't familiar with, to go to their promised land, or to go to somewhere better, or to get out of the land of iniquity. America is a land of iniquity. Everything that's wrong is right. Racism is legal in America. Racism is legal. It is legal to be a racist. At least in South Africa, it's illegal to be a racist. You'll go to jail for that. America should have had that law based on our history, right? But they would never put racism on the books, because putting racism on the books, you have mass incarceration of them. But if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. Let me check something out. Give me a second. Give me a second. Let me go down here. Now, A Hill, let me respond to you. You say you've been to South Africa. I'm not fighting with Boers and black people too. I don't know what that means. But white people don't mess with you like that. They really don't mess with you like. One thing I've noticed about white people outside of the States, when they don't have their population like like here in America, they act different. They're a little bit more agreeable. Them people that I've been a couple of times, or twice, I never had a problem with white people messing with me. Not once. Actually, they treated me probably more nice over there than they treated me here. I will admit that. But I never had that problem. But once again, do you? If you want to do 3 times the rent, you want to fight the race soldiers to the day you die, that's fine. I'm just saying, when do you get to rest? Doesn't the Bible teach us a time for everything? It's a time to fight. It's a time to be at peace. It's a time to rest. It's a time to be awake. I mean, come on. When do you have a time of peace? You're dying before your time because of the high blood pressure, not only because of what we could eat, which the food's horrible, but because of everyday living. Once again, we pass by police, our blood pressure jumps up. They have proven we have PTSD when we see police in America. Ain't no Boer in South Africa giving me no PTSD. What are you talking about? Sure, no black person doing it. Like, show me how our oppression in America is just so much better. I don't get it. I don't get it. Please help me to get it, because I don't get it. I don't get it. But with that being said, Pamela J., thank you for coming to our live stream. I appreciate it. They say start now and Positive TV. Say I'm purchasing me and my husband a passport right now. I'm going there. Hey, look, go visit, sister. Just visit. Don't jump and do it. And go visit multiple countries. Don't go jump to one place. Like I said, everybody likes certain things. Like everybody went to Ghana, and Ghana could be great for some people. Some people love Ghana. Ghana's been a great country for some of my brothers and sisters. Some people may go to East Africa, and they love being in those countries. Some people may be in the southern part of the African continent, which is many countries. Whatever country is conducive for you and your family and your particular lifestyle, do that. I'm not telling you to lessen your lifestyle for any reason. Live the same way you're living here over there, if that's what you want to do. But just visit. I just tell you to visit. Visit, go, instead of taking a vacation somewhere else. You know, some of y'all rather go to London where them folks at instead of going to Nairobi, Kenya or something. You know, some people rather go to London or deal with racism in Italy instead of going to Uganda, and which we'll be talking about here shortly. Shout out to Uganda. Uganda's been in the news. And of course, it was in the news about some years ago when they had criminalized LGBT. Well, now they have updated their law, and we'll read through that. But we want to show you guys two things about this. Now, you know, the Western world, that's a very staunch thing in the Western world, is LGBT. It's celebrated, it's promoted, and everything else. And the Western world has every right to do that if that's what they so choose to do. The Europeans, if you look at their history, LGBT is very, very cemented in their history. Even if you look at some of the things that happened in Rome with fooling with children, that's also cemented in their history. I'm also reading the book right now, The Delectable Negro. Please read that book. The book actually is written by a man from the LGBT community, actually. He identified himself as queer, to be honest. And he is exposing everything that happened to black people, and a lot of them were LGBT. They were cannibals, cannibal LGBT people. They brought a lot of that stuff with them when they went to colonize the African continent. They would all cannibalize and eat black people. It would be an erotic experience for them to eat black people. They were doing it on the plantation fields of America. They was also doing it in the colonized African areas as well. Please look at that book. How they are very obsessive with the black male phallus. And you wonder why when they had tortured a black man and hung him from a tree, how they would chop up body parts and put it in their mantle, but definitely they wanted to chop off a black man's phallus, and they wanted that. See, their history is so horrible they don't want it taught. Oh, yes. They had a thing called Negro soup. Did you know that? Oh, yes. They was cooking and eating black people. Even right here in America. They don't like to talk about it. See, they only want to talk about and which was horrible, the violation of our women and girls, which is horrible. But they don't talk about that portion of it. And they was cooking and eating our women and girls too. Oh, yes. Oh, yes. This is why Ron DeSantis and the rest of them don't want this history taught. If you look at the Caribbean, you know why a lot of brothers and sisters in the Caribbean are very, hardcore against LGBT is because they brought that to the Caribbean and they did a lot of that to the men in the Caribbean as well. Everywhere they go, this is what they were doing, very horrible things. The Amistad Rebellion, do you know the reason why they rebelled on Amistad is because they felt that they was going to be eaten by those people, so they had to fight against them because they were known to be cannibals. Even their missionaries was known to be cannibals. But when they tell you about cannibalism, they want to talk about the African continent. Oh, it's them Africans. They was the cannibals. That's the ones I'm not saying they didn't have none, but I'm saying that they act like they didn't have nothing to do with anything like that. It was just the Africans. So when you look at when I start reading that book and understanding the history of what they did everywhere they went, now I say, okay, it makes sense why black people globally is kind of like, because of the things that was done to us in slavery and in colonization. Do you know they were still eating black people on record even into the 1930s? Whoo, but see, they don't want this taught. They don't want this taught. Because when you start really learning the history, like I said, and I'm trust me, that book, it will start sickening you. And the more you start reading, get deeper and deeper and deeper. If you don't want to read it, if you got Amazon Audible, it's on there. The Delectable Negro. You can listen to it. If you're a person who like to read, but you want to listen to an audiobook, it's on now. There were times when the white supremacists would be on the African continent and they would say you didn't want to get captured by them because they would assault you as a male, which was something that was not practiced in the African continent whatsoever. That was not practiced like that. They would assault you, and sometimes you wouldn't come back because they would eat you. So fast forward to today. Let's get to Uganda. Places like Kenya, colonized by the British. Ghana's another country that was colonized by the British as well. They're not really down too much for that lifestyle. Ethiopia isn't down for it either, even though they weren't colonized. 30 African nations have laws against that. We just reporting the news. Now, why is the Western world upset by this? First of all, they do not want to be told where they can and cannot go. Because in their mind, the world is a place they can go and nobody better not tell them nothing. Well, if they step foot in Uganda right now and they identify as part of that community, they're going to have an issue or a problem. Yes, they made shoes out of our skin. They made clothes out of our skin. They made oil out of us. I mean, it's the most sickest thing ever. And let me tell you something. Do you really think these people have changed? Do you really think these movies like The Hills Have Eyes is just imaginary? But let's get to our brothers and sisters in Uganda. So they recently passed a law And I want you to just kind of just pay attention to this footage, and we'll get down to talking about it, just what it is and what's going on. So let's go ahead and put this up.
I will always stand. In our country, we will have our morals. We will protect our children. And we are making this law. We are making this law for ourselves. We are making this law for our children. We are making this law for the children of our children. This country will stand firm. And once it passed, I can tell you, Madam Speaker, we are going to reinforce the law enforcement officers to make sure that homosexuals have no space in Uganda.
Have a Ugandan Human Rights Commission, which is mandated by the Constitution. So having others which are not part of our constitutional system is first of all unnecessary, but also diversionary. Because some of the people may not know the difference. Instead of going to report to where action can be taken, they go to the UN. What can UN do in Uganda? They don't have the powers of enforcement. The ones who have the powers of enforcement are the Uganda National Human Rights Commission. So why divert attention of complainants with multiple points? Because for the ordinary people, they may not know the difference. The mistake of Western countries, they are the ones who are provoking, because they are really, the English word is insufferable. You can't put up with their nonsense, because nobody concentrates so much on homosexuals. Nobody is hunting them. But because they come and want to force us to say homosexuality, oh yeah, that's how you get now a backlash. They are the ones who are provoking all.
All right, so that was President Museveni, and he said all the backlash is coming from the Western world getting involved with Ugandan business. They're saying that basically it's just not conducive for their particular society, but hey, they're saying the Western world, do you. You can't, the thing is, you can't force other people to do what you want them to do in their countries. You just can't. You can't. You can't force, and that's the interesting part. Notice they're not forcing China to do anything in their country, are they? See, they don't mess with the Chinese. They leave them alone. Now, let's get to the terms of this. So they said the bill prescribed jail terms of up to 10 years for offenses related to same-sex relations. They say responding to popular sentiment, but piling more pressure on the East African countries, LGBT community. Say the bill was passed late Tuesday inside a packed parliamentary chamber, as you saw. And say after a roll call ordered by the House Speaker, say who had repeatedly warned it was necessary to identify those who might oppose the bill. As it was supported by nearly all the 389 legislators present. As their early version of the bill enacted in 2014, later was nullified by a court on procedural grounds. Now, Human Rights Watch has described legislation as a more egregious version of the 2014 law. They say it withdrew widespread international concern and was struck down amid pressure from Uganda's development partners. They say the bill now will go to President Museveni, who can veto or sign it into law. He suggested in a recent speech that he supports the bill, accusing unnamed, they say, Western nations of trying to impose their practices on other people. And say the bill was introduced last month by an opposition lawmaker who said it's his goal to punish promotion, recruitment, and funding related to LGBTQ activities. And say his bill creates, they say, the offense of aggravated homosexuality, which applies to cases of sexual relations involving those infected with HIV, as well as minors and other categories of vulnerable people. And say it was not immediately clear what the punishment is for the offense following the last minute amendments in a protracted, hold on, let me see, what was that? Okay, plenary session, I'm sorry about that, in the capital of Kampala. They say the bill also creates the offense of attempted homosexuality, punishable with up to 10 years in jail. It said sex activity is already punishable with life imprisonment under the colonial era law targeting carnal knowledge against the order of nature. It's partly the basis of a report by dissenters, say, of the parliamentary committee that vetted the bill before Tuesday's vote. Now, it's an anti-gay sentiment in Uganda has grown in recent weeks amid alleged reports of sodomy in boarding schools, including a prestigious one for boys where a parent accused a teacher of abusing her son. Authorities are investigating that case. They say Uganda's LGBT community in recent years has faced pressure from civilian authorities who want a tough new law punishing the activity. They say now the Ugandan agency overseeing the work of NGOs last year stopped the operations of Sexual Minorities Uganda, and say the most prominent LGBTQ organization in the country, accusing it of failing to register legally. But the group's leader stated that his organization had been rejected by the registrar of companies as undesirable. It said a recent decision of the Church of England to bless civil marriages of same-sex couples also has inflamed many, including some who see homosexuality as imported from abroad. They say it basically came from Europe. They said the Church of England, they say, has departed from the Anglican faith and are now false teachers. Ugandan Archbishop Stephen Kasemba said in a statement last month, he described that as a crisis at hand. And as we stated earlier, LGBT is criminalized in 30 of the continent's 54 countries. And that's just really what the report is on that, brothers and sisters, with Uganda. But I will say this. Check something real quick. But I will say this. Uganda has their laws, has their constitution. If someone disagree with it, you don't like it, I would say stay in the Western world where it's celebrated, is promoted. And that's really the only suggestion I could have with that. Now, I seen one guy on TikTok, Black American fella, telling people to boycott Kenya because Kenya's position, boycott Uganda, and boycott Ghana. And I think Rwanda, he was mentioning them too. Well, I mean, you have every right not to go to those countries, but I will say they're not begging you to come. I mean, I think they're fine on their own. I mean, you could never show up to those countries. I'm not boycotting no African nation. I mean, at least the ones I want to go to. Now, them Arab ones, like places like Tunisia and all that, I'm not going nowhere near that. I said, but, the ones that I want to go to, I haven't been to Uganda yet. Of course, we'll be going to Ghana October, which, speaking of Ghana, there's 10 spots left on that particular tour, 10 spots left. Secure your spot today. Only 10 left. Jump on it. Once again, these tours are done because of what was requested by you, the audience. If the tours, like I say, if people don't have a desire for them, we won't do them. That's just really, I'm gonna always repeat that. So when people tell me what's the next tour, I don't know of a next tour, because only the desire of the people and the success of the previous tour is what is going to determine if we do something different the following time. I like having those tours done because some people maybe want to go with other people, for the first time, and some people may not. But still, I think it's good just to get your first time on the continent. So those of you, like I say, who want to go to Ghana, want to go see it for yourself, 10 more spots left. But I will say this. The African continent is not trying to hit the West too much anymore. The West, they said that they was going to, America in particular, was going to remove funding from Uganda because of this law. President Museveni said, take your aid. He said, we good. We don't need it. He said, we got enough things right here in Uganda. We good. Now, that's a response that they're not used to. They used to African countries like, oh no, America, don't take the money away. We'll do whatever you want. Just keep giving us the money. See, the global order is changing. It's changing. Zimbabwe. They've been keeping sanctions on Zimbabwe ever since Mugabe got them white supremacists off their land. And he asked him for a long time, Mugabe, before he got to that point, he said, look, compensate the people for their land and we'll leave it alone. They can stay there. They said no. The British, they said, no, we're not compensating black people for that land. He kept asking them, kept asking for them to compensate them. They said no. So Mugabe is like, fine. You won't compensate them? I'm removing them off of it then and giving people back their land. And then after he removed them 4,000 of them off of that land, they've been having sanctions ever since. Robert Mugabe is with the ancestors now, and they still got sanctions on Zimbabwe. Barack Hussein Obama, shameful man that he was, kept the sanctions on Zimbabwe. He was supposed to be the one to lift them, but he kept them the whole time he was in office. And Biden just recently extended them too. Trump extended them too, all of them. But the one who should have removed the sanctions should have been Barack Obama. But he's the same guy that gave the okay to take out Gaddafi. Just because Gaddafi was trying to get people together to have a single currency. I wonder if they're gonna do that to China, because China's trying to upend the world with their currency. Are you gonna do that to China? Because see, China got the world by the proverbial cojones, because they manufacture everything for you. And if China say, we ain't shipping nothing to none of y'all, you're in trouble. That's why in COVID they had to shut their mouth. Because China had them about supplies. But anyway, ladies and gentlemen, just want to say this here because I'm going to have to definitely wrap this up. I need to answer some things. I'm back, and I got to really get back to work. I've been so dragging about getting back to work, though, because I was just so relaxed. Oh, Lord, I was relaxed. But when it comes to Uganda, Kenya, any of those nations, those brothers and sisters have every right to determine their future however they see fit. Now, some people may say, well, what about the people that's there who are black that are, part of that lifestyle and community? I don't really have an answer for that because I'm not in Uganda. I'm not a citizen of Uganda. I can't determine that. The only thing I can say is, that's kind of been the law since 2014. I mean, I don't know what to say about that. I really don't know. But I do know, and the Africans have said, that a lot of Africans get turned out by them folks coming over there, paying them for those activities when they're poor and they don't have anything. Now, that's a different conversation of a different day right there. But thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for coming to the live stream today. We greatly appreciate it. Make sure to click the subscribe button. And we'll see you on the next one.